Welcome to the Man Junk Project, a story about mysterious parts and secret processes, but inside of men. In a few minutes, you'll be one of the very few who know what makes a man's body so unusual. You'll know where the parts are, what they're called, and even how they work. Most men think of the world as parts and machinery that work together. What you're looking at is a mechanical model of man junk. It's made out of valves, plumbing, springs, switches, wiring, and more. If you wanted to, you could pretty much build your own man junk in the basement. Warning. Although most of these parts can be picked up at the hardware store, the information presented might be considered a little R-rated for some. We're going to start by showing you around and explaining what these things do. Next, you'll see how it all works together when it's time to make babies. Okay, let's begin at the top and work our way downstream. Up here at the very top is your bladder. Your bladder is like a strong water balloon that gives a good squeeze when it's time to go. When you drink coffee and beer, the nutrients get filtered out and the leftover water and other stuff becomes urine. Urine collects inside your bladder, and when it's full, sensors send out the signal that tells you when it's time to take a leak. The drain line from your bladder is called your urethra. This tube runs right down through the middle of everything and ends up in the open air at the end of your man unit. Right on the underside of your bladder is this valve. The official name is the external sphincter valve, and we're going to call it the top valve. This thing is always open except at very special times when it slams shut. We'll be back here in a few minutes. Now, right here, attached to the top valve, is your amazing prostate. Although this one looks a little old and rusty, it works just fine. Your real prostate is about as big as a golf ball. It's located low behind your stomach and touches the wall of your rectum. Well, the first thing your prostate does is it generates and fills itself with a white, thick prostatic fluid. When it's time, your little sperm guys are going to need this. The stuff has 3 benefits, like 3-in-1 oil. First, it's the rich and sweet fuel that your swimmers are going to need when they're on their journey. Next, it's a splendid lubricant that helps them slide in and out of tight places. And last, it's the liquid armor that your little sperm guys will have to surround themselves with. Without this armor, they wouldn't stand a chance. When your sperm gets mixed in with this fluid, it's called ejaculate. The sperms are way too small to see, and the white fluid makes up the great bulk of your ejaculate. A side note on your prostate. When you get to be about 50 years old, your prostate can start to get bigger. This is called BPH, or benign prostate hyperplasia. Some guys say that BPH stands for big prostate hurts. Here's how it works. Your urethra tube travels right through the center of your prostate. When your prostate gets big, it can squeeze too hard on the tube, and your bladder never quite empties, so you go to bed half full. In the middle of the night, your bladder sends the signal that it's full, and you gotta get up and go again. Quite a nuisance. These days, we have pretty good medication that can relax your prostate so that tube doesn't get squeezed so much. In rare cases, you might need to get a little roto-rooter job to push your tube open again. Okay, back to man junk. Attached to the low end of the prostate is the lower valve. This is a very important piece of equipment, and it has the charming name of the urethral sphincter. We're going to call it the lower valve. This thing has a very simple yet extremely important job. Over here, attached to the bottom side of your prostate, are the nerve bundles, but we're going to call them triggers because it's more fun. Notice that there are 2 of them. Somebody realized it's a really good idea to have redundant systems built into these human bodies. Notice that you have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 kidneys, etc. If one organ gets damaged or destroyed, the one on the other side is online and ready to go. We humans are actually very rugged and adaptable. These duplicate parts ensure that you'll survive even if you get severe damage. Following these 2 little wires brings us to that most magnificent and mysterious organ, your brain. Most of your brain is used for seeing, thinking wonderful thoughts, being afraid, being creative, talking, manipulating ideas, and even figuring out how to use that damn smartphone. This is the higher functioning part of your brain. There's another part of your brain that rarely calls attention to itself. We'll call this part of your brain your old brain. Old Brain keeps your body moving and in good repair. It keeps your lungs and heart pumping, it scratches your head, keeps you walking straight, and does 1,000 other things that you're not even aware of. One of Old Brain's favorite jobs is making babies. Down here below the prostate, you'll see the pelvic floor muscles. These are inside and above your legs, and your urethra tube travels right down the middle of them. You can feel these muscles working if when you're taking a leak, you make yourself stop in midstream. Those are your pelvic floor muscles. That clamping action is also called the Kegel exercise. Down here, we've got a couple of valves. They're officially called erectile nerves, but we're going to call them the man unit valves. These valves are normally closed. When they open, they let high-pressure blood into the balloon-like structures that are inside your man unit. Oh, and look, down here are your old friends, your testicles. These guys are always quietly working away day and night. They produce two very interesting ingredients for you. The first ingredient is testosterone. You'd be amazed at how your body and attitude are charged by testosterone. It affects your energy, your memory, your bones, your muscles, your organs, how you think, and much, much more. Testosterone isn't shown here because it travels through your blood, which is a different delivery system. The second ingredient your testicles produce is vital to our continued existence as a species on this planet. That would be your sperm. Sperm are the little swimmers that race to the egg in the woman's body to make a baby. You're making sperm by the millions every day. Each sperm takes about 2 weeks to develop. While they're in your testicles, they can't make babies. They need to get a little older and wiser first. To do that, your young little sperms have to quietly swim up these little tubes called the vas deferens. Note, if you get a vasectomy, both of these tubes get snipped and the sperm can't go on their journey. If they can't go on their journey, the little guys are magically absorbed into your body as food. After a few hours, the little swimmers make it all the way up here into the seminal vesicles. These are bolted to the top of your prostate, and that's where the young sperms mature. As they get older and stronger, they become little warriors. They have a tremendous journey ahead of them, and their chance of survival is only 1 in a million. Sperms that stay in the seminal vesicles for more than 21 days are considered old. Somehow, they magically get absorbed by your body as food too. Notice the green valves at the bottom of the seminal vesicles. These stay closed until showtime. So that's the layout. Now, we'll show you how it works. To begin with, here's what happens when you take a leak. Your bladder's full and the sensors say it's time to go. Your top valve is always open, so it's easy for your bladder to squeeze and get all the you-know-what out. Your lower valve is normally closed tight. When it's time to go, your lower valve opens, your bladder squeezes, and you enjoy a little smile as the pressure is relieved. When everything's drained, your lower valve closes, you zip up, and you're done. Simple. You might be wondering what all the rest of this junk is for. It's all for making babies. Let's roll up our sleeves and jump right in. So say you're alone with your beautiful sweetheart, and you're very much in love with each other. She says the words and gives you the look, and you know you're on. This gets Old Brain's attention right away. Ooh, yeah. With a smile, he starts sending signals to lots of different organs in your body. One of the first signals he sends goes to your erectile nerve bundles, the triggers. They send a control signal downline to your man unit valves. These valves open up and fresh, high-pressure blood flows into your man unit. Pretty quick, you're good and hard and ready for action. Hey now. Things are looking good, and Old Brain fires up the signal to the top valve to close fast. You want to make sure everything's going to flow the right way, and you don't want any backwash going up into your bladder. At the same time, the lower valve opens up. It's like getting ready to launch a torpedo. The forward hatches need to be open. The valves on your seminal vesicles get the signal to open, and your little warrior swimmers are dumped into the prostate that's full of white prostatic fluid. Now that this stuff is fully charged, it's suddenly become ejaculate. Old Brain's eyes are wide open now, and he's really excited. He orders the prostate to give a good squeeze, and that fresh ejaculate mix is forced through a bunch of valves right into the urethra. Your torpedo is now locked, loaded, and you're ready to fire. Everything's hitting on all cylinders, and by now, Old Brain's roaring and laughing. He's been waiting for this for a long time. When it's time for the big shot, he sends a mighty jolt down to your pelvic muscles. They buck with some mighty squeezes, and bam, 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 your little swimmers are finally launched on their new journey. The show's over, and with a satisfied grin, Old Brain sends signals for everything to relax and return to normal. Valves quietly open and close again. Your unit gets quiet and small again, and it might be time for a little nap. That's the fun part of man junk. Sometimes, of course, there's trouble in the world of man junk. One of these pieces of trouble is prostate cancer. To find out more about prostate cancer and about our support group, please visit www.thereluctantbrotherhood.org. Thanks for watching.